Welcome to TV show recaps. Today I will be recapping the epic gangster series set in the 1920s, after World War I. Peaky Blinders. This will be an exciting journey, so sit tight and enjoy the ride. Oh, and of course, spoilers ahead. The main protagonist of the show, Thomas Shelby, is the brain and charismatic leader of the family and manages an illegal bookmaking business started by her aunt, Polly Gray. His two brothers, Arthur and John Shelby, are the main muscle of the organization. In comes the new police chief and nemesis of the Shelby family, C. Campbell. He steps foot in the police station and immediately gave an inspiring speech which no one asked for or cared about. As show of force, he clamps down on the criminal activities of the Shelbys to send a message to the whole family and town of Birmingham. Ada Shelby, Thomas's sister, and her boyfriend Freddie Thorne get caught in the crossfire, and Freddie ends up skipping town because of his illegal communist activities which have caught the attention of the police and government. Shortly after, Ada finds out she is pregnant and decides to keep it and raise the child on her own. The true motivations of the new police chief are revealed, and his main objective is to uncover the now missing firearms which were supposed to be bound for Libya. Thomas Shelby, who is responsible for the stealing of the firearms, saw this as an opportunity and used it as bargaining chip with Campbell. After negotiations, Campbell agreed to close one eye on the criminal activities of the Shelby family, and in return the stolen firearms will be returned. A newly hired, pretty, and very out of place, barmaid, Grace Burgess, was recently hired at the town's favorite pub, the Garrison, and quickly caught the eye of Thomas. To no one's surprise except for the people in the show, she is actually an undercover agent working for Campbell to spy on the Shelby family. Thomas, as part of his master plan to expand the family business, sets his sights on Billy Kimber, the head honcho and kingpin of horse race fixing and bookmaking in the town of Birmingham. Thomas invites Grace as his date for a big event where Billy Kimber is also present. To impress Billy, Thomas protects his bookies from the attacks of the Lee family, an opposing criminal family which is trying to steal his business. To seal the deal, Thomas presents Grace as a nicely wrapped gift to Billy. Thomas, having grown feelings for her, quickly regrets his decision and interrupts Billy's one-sided attempt to have a good time. He lies and claims that Grace has syphilis and manages to save her from a very awkward situation. The Shelby family successfully obtain their first legal betting license with the help of Billy and proceeds to celebrate their success. The now pregnant Ada Shelby is due and gives birth with the help of her aunt Polly Gray and Esme, John Shelby's newlywed wife. Freddie, father of the child, makes a surprise appearance and comes just in time to see his newly born child. His happiness is short-lived as the police arrives just in time to arrest Freddie after being tipped off by Grace, the undercover cop. Grace decides to give up on her mission and agrees to give up the location of the stolen firearms to Campbell in exchange for the life of Thomas Shelby. Campbell reluctantly agrees as he has fallen in love with her and, in a desperate attempt to change her mind, proposes to her. She said no and left. After recovering the stolen firearms, Campbell turns into a crazed incel, goes back on their agreement and proceeds to arrest Thomas Shelby. Grace realizes this betrayal and saves Thomas from the police by hiding him at her place, where they enjoy a romantic night together while seeking refuge from the police. Campbell is devastated by the turn of events and calls off the arrest of Thomas. In the final step of his master plan, Thomas allies with the Lee family to take over the horse racing business of Billy Kimber. Billy Kimber catches wind of their alliance and brings his army of heavily armed minions to kill the Shelby family. The final showdown takes place in front of the pub, the Garrison. Right before the gunfight starts, Ada with her newborn baby steps in between the two gangs in an attempt to stop them from killing each other. The two gangs were shocked by the turn of events and stopped fighting. Billy Kimber took advantage of the chaos and shot Thomas in the shoulder. In response, Thomas takes aim and in hero-like fashion shoots Billy Kimber dead center in the forehead, killing him instantly and ending the fight, like a boss. Grace leaves Thomas and the town of Birmingham, but not before leaving a note for him, telling him to look for her if he decides to give up on his illegal business activities. At the train station, Grace is confronted at gunpoint by Campbell. Instead of dying, she shoots Campbell in the leg using the gun hidden in her handbag. 2 years have passed, and the Shelby family's business had grown significantly after taking over the horse races of the now dead Billy Kimber. Thomas is not satisfied and decides to expand their criminal network to London, which is split between the Italian gang led by Darby Sabini and the Jewish gang led by Alfie Solomons. Thomas strategically decides to ally with the weaker Jewish gang and makes a grand entrance in London by thrashing Sabini's club. Sabini, in retaliation, ambushes Thomas in a dark alley with his goons. Defended by plot armor and a mysterious figure in the dark, Thomas is saved at gunpoint. A now crippled Campbell emerges and has returned as Chief of Staff of the British Intelligence Service. This time he has allied with Irish Republicans and hand-picked Thomas to carry out assassination of the Field Marshal, Henry Russell, an enemy of the state. In return, Thomas will be granted an export license and protection from the police. Polly Gray has been haunted by memories of her long-lost son. Thomas uses his connections to find her son, Michael Gray. Michael, who is equally ambitious, is enticed by the Shelbys' illustrious business activities, and leaves his adopted mother to join the Shelby family. Alfie, the Jewish gang leader, and Thomas officially form an alliance, with Thomas providing muscle while Alfie provides the use of his distillery in Camden Town, London. Thomas decides to transform the family business into legal business activities and hires Polly's son, Michael, as his accountant. As part of his expansion plans, Thomas buys and trains a horse to enter into the horse race of Epsom Derby. During the horse auction, another goon of Sabini makes an attempt on Thomas's life but fails. The rapid rise of the Shelby family has caught the ire of both Alfie and Sabini. Alfie decides to betray Thomas and allied with Sabini to frame Arthur Shelby for murder during Passover, a Jewish holiday. Thomas confronts Alfie in his winery alone and is threatened at gunpoint to hand over his entire business. Thomas plays reverse Uno and claims to have hidden a grenade in his winery which will blow up if Alfie does not agree to his conditions instead. Alfie falls for his bluff and submits. Arthur goes free and reunites with his family. Michael is thrown behind bars by Campbell for the burning down of a pub. Polly, in a bid to save her son, meets with Campbell alone. Campbell abuses his authority and humiliates her in return for the freedom of her son. Michael is released but does not appreciate his mother's efforts. Thomas is angered by the lack of protection from Campbell and realizes he plans to kill him to cover up the government's involvement after the assassination is done. To spite him, Thomas looks up the now married Grace Burgess and asks her out on a date. Thomas seduces her with his charm and connections with famous people and successfully rekindles their passion. Campbell learns of what happened, and once again turns into an angry incel. He enlists the service of 3 killers from the Ulster Volunteer Force to kill Thomas once the assassination of Henry Russell is carried out. Derby Day arrives. Thomas goes with Lizzie Stark as his date, a sex worker turned secretary who is now working for him. Thomas uses Lizzie as a sex decoy and attempts to kill the field marshal while he is occupied. A fight ensues and Thomas kills him. The police are distracted by this killing and all security is diverted to the protection of the crown. Thomas takes advantage of this situation and attacks Sabini's bookies, burning all his legal betting licenses. Polly finds and traps Campbell in a phone booth, looks him in the eyes and kills him in cold blood. Campbell, nemesis of the Shelby family, finally dies. Amidst the chaos, Grace shows up at the event to find Thomas, pregnant from her one night of passion with him. Thomas is kidnapped by the hitmen hired by Campbell and taken to an isolated location to be shot and buried. In his final moments, Thomas once again turns around the situation with his plot armor as one of the gunmen is actually a spy for Winston Churchill and saves him instead. Thomas returns home and reveals his plan to get married as the screen fades to black. End of seasons 1 and 2. Please stay tuned for the next season recap. Please like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for our channel. Hope to see you again for our next TV show recap.